Chapter 1 of The Story of a Modern Woman. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Story of a Modern Woman by Ella Hepworth Dixon. Chapter 1. An End and a Beginning. Glaring spring sunshine and a piercing east wind rioted out of doors, and here and there overflowing flower baskets made startling patches of color against the vague blue-gray of the streets. But indoors, in the tall London house, there was only a sickly yellow twilight, for the orange-toned blinds were scrupulously drawn down. There was awe in the passages, and hushed tones even in the kitchen, as if the dead could hear. Some wreaths and crosses of wax-like exotic flowers lay on the hall table, filling the passage with their sensuous odor. Friends calling to inquire had left them there, but they had not yet been taken up to that darkened room where a marble figure, a figure which was strangely unlike Professor Earl, lay stretched in an enduring silence on the bed. Downstairs in the little study, giving onto a meagre London yard, a girl was bending over a desk. "You will, I know, be grieved to hear that my dear father passed suddenly away the night before last," she wrote, while a great nerve in her forehead went tick, tick, tick. The visitors who came all day long, leaving bits of pasteboard, spoke in low, inquisitive tones. When the bell rang, there were veiled whispers at the hall door. So terrible, so sudden. Mary could hear them inquire how she was keeping up, and Elizabeth's answer, "Miss Earl is as well as could be expected." The trite, worn-out, foolish sentence almost made her laugh. All the stock phrases of condolence, all the mental trappings of woe, seemed to be ready-made for this sad occasion, like the crepe skirts and cloaks which had been forwarded immediately from the mourning establishment in Regent Street. "Yes, I am as well as could be expected," she thought, "and father is dead. Father is dead." And all the long afternoon she went on mechanically writing, "I am sure you will be sorry when I tell you that my dear father," on paper bordered with black an inch deep. How he would have disliked that foolish ostentation of mourning. It was contrary to the spirit of his life. "Tomorrow," she said to herself, "I must send for some note paper with a narrower edge." These letters were to be sent abroad. The English newspapers had sufficiently announced the death, for Professor Earl was perhaps the best-known man of science of the day. In the little back room they had to light the lamp early. There was so much to do, so many details to arrange. The ceremony was to be as simple as might be. Above all, no paid priest would stand at the grave to give hearty thanks that the great thinker had been delivered out of the miseries of this sinful world. The sinful world would have as its spokesman another famous professor, who had asked to be allowed to say a few words. Then there were the newspapers. There was the brisk, smartly dressed young gentleman who came to do a leader for the daily paper, and who proceeded to make a number of notes in shorthand, asking innumerable questions as his omnivorous glance traveled rapidly round the study. Another pressman, a small apologetic man with grayish hair and a timid cough, asked to see the house for the Weekly Planet. He begged of Elizabeth on the hall steps to tell him if the professor had said anything particular which would work up as a leader just at the last. "Oh, sir," said Elizabeth, "didn't you know? Master didn't say anything. He just died in his sleep." The daughter went about her tasks with a sense of detachment, of intense aloofness. "I wonder if I really feel it," she thought, "and why I have never cried. I should like to, but it is impossible. I shall never, never cry again." It was as if death, with his cruel, searing wings, had cauterized her very soul. Sometimes she pictured herself in her long crape veil at the funeral, and heard in imagination her friends murmuring pitying words as they all followed the coffin up the Highgate slope. Alison Ives, of course, would be with her. She would stay by her, perhaps, and hold her hand. And probably Vincent Hemming would be near. Yes, he too would be there. At dinner time she had to sit down to table alone. She was hungry, and she ate, hardly knowing what was on her plate. Nothing happened as it does in tales and romances. In innumerable novels she had read how the heroine, in a house of mourning, lies on the bed for days and steadily refuses to eat. As for Mary, a demon of unrest possessed her during that horrible week, and it was as if she could not eat nourishing food enough. She never stopped arranging, writing, adding up accounts. It was useless to try and read. Did she but take up a book, that dominant image in her mind, the image of a dear face turned to marble, with the cold triumphant smile of eternity on its lips,
Sample complete. Ready to continue?